They can start paying, and they can.
Now we're getting pretty deep into the talking points here. What you're doing is people who came over our border without permission are not being punished. They are instead being rewarded. And so you
they're not. Let me answer to that.
A very different standard to Ukraine. I'm wondering if Russians fleeing Putin, do you believe should be allowed to start new and better lives in Ukraine? And I bet you'd say no, because you believe in Ukrainian nationalism, but not American.
I want to be rigorous. I'm talking about those people who have lived here for more than 5 years, that have not committed a crime, that have American children, and who are contributing to our economy. I want to give them something called dignity and then redemption. I'm not talking about path to citizenship. I'm not talking about amnesty. I'm talking about I'm not. And I don't want you to misrepresent what we did, and we worked for 1 whole year so we can solve. Just because this bill you don't agree.
Our viewers can read the bill. Let me ask you a simple question. You're for sending MiGs to Ukraine.
The fact that you don't agree with me doesn't mean that you have to misrepresent what's on the bill.
There's a battle back and forth Tucker was having with Florida Representative Maria Salazar, and the issue was a bill that she was co-sponsoring that would grant undocumented folks amnesty, or at least some sort of a pathway, and that is strike number 1. Just in that exchange yesterday, I want you guys to realize a couple of things there. As she had a few seconds to make her point, she did point out that dignity. We want to give folks the dignity. That's when he was triggered. That was one of the first points of dignity, because we see how he sees other folks, specifically these particular immigrants. And also, he said our viewers can read the bill. It goes back to them wanting to tell his viewers what to think. They can read the bill. Are they going to read the bill? Did you tell them to go read the bill? Or are you just going to assume they should read the bill because you don't want her to explain what's in it? That's really what's happening here. So anyway, let's go to some of the details of what it was happening in this this Dignity Act that Salazar was a part of trying to put for 13 million people. So the Salazar bill would allow undocumented immigrants who have lived in the United States for more than 5 years to stay and work here without the threat of deportation. It also offers them a path to citizenship, but it's a very long one. They couldn't apply for permanent residency and a green card, which is required before seeking citizenship for at least 15 years. This is what Tucker's mad about that she's putting in there. 15 years. So what could the process be? Because we see how conservatives always complain about we need to do something about our immigration policy, and what the immigration policy would like to do with is just complete and utter violence and pushback. So here they are button heads further. They continued this argument for a while. Watch this part.
Well, look, I think you've said it yourself that people who came here illegally, tens of millions of them, would be allowed to stay. They would not be punished, they would be rewarded. Now, you think that's enhancing their dignity? By the way, I'm not against those people. I just can't help notice the contrast that our borders are porous. They're not defended, they are open. Should we send the US military to the Mexican border?
That is what I have created a whole plan so we can really seal the border. Because you know what? My community, the one that I represent, let me finish. Let me finish. The one that I represent.
Okay.
Listen, let me finish. Give me 15 seconds.
I shall.
Thank you. I have created a series of measures so we can secure the border. If we deport those 11 or 13 million, we may not have food by Friday.
Okay.
Why? Because the food supply chain.
Okay, then would you support the US military securing the United States border tonight, or on the same timetable as sending MiGs to Ukraine? How about that?
That's hypothetical again.
No, it's a very straightforward question. What are you talking? You're a lawmaker.
No, it's not
hypothetical. What do you mean? Just say it. You're not for it, and you're for it in Ukraine, but not here.
I don't know her stance on whether or not she wants to send American forces to Ukraine to defend their borders. But I mean, Tucker will definitely allow his audience to think so. So again, the battle then comes: should we send troops to our border because there's this invasion of folks that are looking primarily for a better life, some kind of work, some way to survive? That's the same as Russian troops invading Ukraine, according to Tucker Carlson and according to his audience, because they'll listen to that garbage.
Because if you were to hear the truth, you might not obey. How is Biden gonna pull that off? It's not easy. Well, one option would be to get men with guns to tell you to shut up. Most Americans probably haven't thought of that because this isn't Africa or Eastern Europe. This is America, and we don't do things like that here and never have. More precisely, we haven't until now. But now Joe Biden is president and everything is different. So today, to herald the coming of the new Soviet America, the administration announced its own Ministry of Truth. This will be called the Disinformation Governance Board. Laugh if you want, but just to show you they're not kidding around here, this board is not part of the State Department or any other agency focused on foreign threats from abroad. No, the Disinformation Governance Board is part of the Department of Homeland Security. DHS is a law enforcement agency designed to police the United States and that, by the way, has a famously large stockpile of ammunition. So it's not a joke at all.
A stockpile of ammunition, policing the American people. Department of Homeland Security is coming for you. They want to kill you, is what Tucker said in a roundabout way. They're gonna monitor you, they're gonna kill you, they're gonna tell you what you can and cannot say. Weird how that works. Sounds really scary. Sounds like something that might incite people based off of lies. That's how these things work. Let's go into what this really is, this disinformation campaign, and with that graphic that they put up there that doesn't exist in real life. So this newly formed Disinformation Governance Board announced on Wednesday that it would immediately begin focusing on misinformation aimed at migrants, a problem that has helped to fuel sudden surges at the US southern border in recent years. Human smugglers often spread misinformation around border policies to drum up business. You know what's weird? I remember Republicans talking about this. They go, Joe Biden is doing things that are making migrants think that they can just come up and the borders open. He needs to do something about it. I remember that. Continuing on. Last September, for example, confusion about Joe Biden's immigration policies combined with messages shared widely across the Haitian community on Meta's Facebook and WhatsApp platforms led some of the 14,000 migrants to the border town of Del Rio, Texas, where they set up camp. Some were ultimately expelled and were flown out of the US. Continue on. We were very concerned that Haitians who are taking the irregular migration path are receiving misinformation that the border is open. It's what Mayorkas said last year after thousands of migrants from that country arrived at the Texas-Mexico border, and then we abused them. Remember that. Also, the board, the other part about this board, this misinformation board, and what they're so afraid of, it'll also keep watch on the panel will also monitor Russian disinformation ahead of this year's midterm elections. That's something they don't want, apparently. And also, most recently, Russian state media outlets, social media accounts, and officials have used the internet to call photographs, reporting, and videos of dead bodies and bomb buildings in Ukraine fake. So, more of clearing things up when it comes to disinformation. When there's an entity in a group that's mad about you actually telling the facts about a situation, and then they're complaining, hey, what are you talking about? You're gonna break up some disinformation campaigns? That means they're the disinformation campaigns. If someone's complaining about truth being told, that means they're telling the lie. One real fast part from the Tucker thing as well, because he did play a bit of what the Homeland Security official did say and twisted it as like a pretzel. Watch more.
Efforts underway to equip local communities to identify individuals who very well could be descending into violence by reason of ideologies of hate, false narratives, or other disinformation and misinformation propagated on social media and other platforms.
Oh, did you know that? So one of our biggest law enforcement agencies has men with guns around the country doing so many things to stop disinformation and false narratives. Those aren't even lies, they're just deviations from the approved script. Mayorkas told us again that men with guns plan to, quote, identify individuals who could be descending into violence, could be descending. Yes, is instead using law enforcement powers to identify and punish people who think the wrong things. That would be opponents of the Biden administration. Is this dystopian fiction? No, it's happening right in front of us.
I'm gonna go with dystopian fiction, Dan.
Yeah, there's a reason that Fox News's lawyers say, okay, technically you're not supposed to take Tucker Carlson seriously. This is kind of a joke. This is an entertainment product you're clearly getting, right? Because this is all propaganda. This is all, and it's dangerous because the Donald Trump administration kind of got us accustomed to these kinds of provocations on TV where you'll get news people very irresponsibly from a platform that's supposed to be respected, saying that, listen, I'm covering the news and I'm paying attention to what's really going on, and I'm telling you the government is probably going to send jackbooted thugs your way because of this program that I'm wildly misinterpreting and purposely maliciously leaving out the details of so that it fits into my agenda, so it completely scares the voters who are completely otherwise plugged out of misinformation other than myself to get this information and then freak out about it and then go vote based on it. Yeah, not only that, I want to introduce a term for your viewers in case they don't know it, stochastic terrorism. It's when you're stoking this kind of resentment with people and telling them, hey, these jackbooted thugs with guns are coming and they're coming from the Biden administration. We conservatives believe in defending ourselves, wink, wink.